In part one, I covered the three things that you need to have in place, which are you need a niche, you need a clearly defined service offering, an elevator pitch for that niche, and you need to have worked with at least 2 to 3 clients within that niche. After sharing that, I talked about the first 3 strategies which make up this masterclass. This week, we're gonna focus on longer term strategies. These strategies are gonna be things that might not start working right away. They take a little bit of time to effectively kick in. That said, pairing these 3 long-term strategies with the 3 short-term strategies I covered in the previous video is how you're going to create a full cycle sales funnel that consistently generates new clients and propels your business's growth. So let's get into it. The 4th strategy on my list is build an audience on social media. And more importantly, build your audience on social media. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is an effective social media marketing strategy. I'm covering social media marketing first for a specific reason. It takes the most time and the most effort out of anything on my list, but the growth that you can see from this strategy is potentially limitless. So I want to cover a couple tips that I have on my end for creating an effective social strategy across a couple different platforms. The first platform I'm going to cover is TikTok. So I'm pretty new to TikTok, but it is already something that I have seen the value in, not just in the work that I've done with Motion.io, but how other businesses are using it. TikTok is so incredibly powerful because no other social platform gives you the power to search something as specific as dentist office owner and quickly pull up content specific to that niche that you can use to draw inspiration from in your own marketing. TikTok allows you to connect directly with other business owners in a way that I don't think has ever existed before. After you understand what type of content resonates with your niche, try posting at least 3 to 4 times a week as you get going. A consistent posting schedule on TikTok leads their algorithm to associating your account with a specific niche or a specific subset of users, which creates a snowball effect that leads to more consistent engagement and more reliable growth. Let's say your web design business was focused on dentist office. You search dentist office owner and you find some content about what dentist offices are doing and how they're growing their patient load, and that is clearly resonating with other dentist offices. You can put out videos of your own that are like 3 strategies dentist offices need to be doing to attract more clients, or 3 things you need to be doing if you own a dental office. This type of content is going to be immensely valuable in creating this sort of snowball effect. And once you're consistent with it, it'll lead to consistent engagement and reliable growth. The other great upside of TikTok is that starting with TikTok as your gateway into short form video content allows you to create a single piece of content that you can reuse across multiple platforms. Instagram, Facebook Reels, Pinterest, YouTube Shorts, all social media is moving to short form video content. As a bonus tip for TikTok, I love this tool, repurpose.io. I've been using it for a little while now. What it allows you to do is strip out the watermark from TikTok and then easily repurpose that TikTok video onto any of the platforms that I listed. So you take one TikTok video and you put it on Instagram, you put it on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube Shorts, all of that all at once. The next platform I want to give my thoughts on is Facebook. While the web design businesses that I've spoken with recently seem to have mixed results getting clients directly from their content on Facebook, they all agreed that what made Facebook powerful for getting web design clients is joining and participating in Facebook groups. Because of this, I recommend that for your web design services, at a minimum, you at least create a Facebook page for your business and post twice a week there. The reason why I recommend this is because if you are participating in groups and people who see your links or see the things that you're posting in that group can't go to Facebook and see a page for your business, it's probably unlikely that they're going to reach out to you and contract you for services. As a tip for finding groups that you should participate in, one of the best ways I like to do this specifically on Facebook is typing in the profession/title of my ideal client into Facebook search bar and then scrolling through the list to find groups that are specifically focused on business growth or marketing. At Brighter Vision, I use the same approach to great success. I found a bunch of groups that were specifically for new therapists launching their businesses, as well as more general practice building groups and marketing tips. We were focused on therapists, and there was just a ton of different groups where people were like, hey, I'm starting, I need help getting clients, or hey, I'm onboarding some new clinicians into my practice and I'm looking to build up the caseload. How do I do that? I would participate in these groups and say, here's a tip for how you increase traffic to your website. Only when somebody would ask for specific advice on websites would I chime in and share Brighter Vision's link. So you need to keep it conversational. You don't want to be overly salesy in these groups, but they are a tremendous way to get in front of hundreds of your ideal clients all at once. The last social platform I'll cover is Instagram/Pinterest. In addition to being able to repurpose video content from TikTok on these platforms, why I think Instagram and Pinterest work particularly well for web design businesses is because they focus on high definition images. And because of this, they're uniquely suited as a place to showcase your design work with previous clients, where somebody who might be interested in your services can go on there, see an example of a site, say, oh, I love that, and instantly want to start working with you. That does it for number 4, which is build your audience on social media. Like I said, this is something that's going to require work. It's going to require you are consistent with it, but you'll be surprised after enough time, even just 6 months of consistent posting, how much it can make your business take off. Number 5, develop partnerships. So in B2B or business to business, the word partnership generally implies a relationship with another business where you work together to grow awareness or send clients to each other. At Brighter Vision, we had a ton of different partnerships. We would partner with associations who did licensing for other therapists and supported new therapists. We would partner with things like practice management softwares. We would even partner with individual clinicians who were thought leaders within the space. Partnerships can take many forms, where they might be a co-marketing relationship, a paid agreement, or a commission-based referral plan where you pay someone for each new client they send you. Whatever it is, partnerships are instrumental in helping your business grow and hit scale because they are very impactful for helping your business reach a new audience. So if you're growing your audience on social media, that might not be your total audience, and partnerships can help you capture the total audience. That said, partnerships can be tough, especially to put yourself out there and get them going. So I wanted to share my 3 tips for establishing meaningful and mutually beneficial partnerships from day one. Tip number 1 is when you are approaching a potential partner for the first time, lead into the conversation by telling them what you will do for them versus what you can do together. For example, say, hey, my email list is this big. I have this many clients. I can get you in front of new clients on X, Y, and Z platforms. This approach might seem a little bit backwards, but starting on this note kicks off each conversation in a much more positive way. Tip number 2 of building partnerships is that for your first initiative with your new partner, handle as much upfront work as possible. For example, be the one who is proactive about creating a graphic or writing the email. Provide them as much as you possibly can, so all they have to do is copy and paste. Doing these things at the early days of your partnership is going to kick your relationship off in a really healthy way. And that person or that business that you partner with, you're going to have a much easier time requesting things from them down the road because they'll remember how much you did, in the earlier days of that partnership relationship. Tip number 3 is a little bit meta, but it is launch a podcast. And the reason why I suggest this is that launching a podcast has additional benefits outside of brand awareness in that it can be a great way to build relationships with potential partners in a low pressure sort of way. If you have a podcast, you can reach out to people who you may want to explore a business relationship with. And there's no ask aside from, hey, come on my show and we'll promote you for free if you come on as a guest. This is a really great way to get your foot in the door with a potential partner. Featuring someone who works at a business you want to partner with as a guest on your podcast allows you to start a conversation with a very small initial ask while providing you the opportunity to determine whether or not there's synergy there. That does it for number 5. On to number 6, which is digital advertising. I'm covering this last on our list because out of any of the strategies I shared, it is probably one of the most complicated. That said, digital advertising works. If it didn't, it would be tough to explain why businesses spent $520 billion on digital advertising in 2021. When I say digital advertising, what I'm talking about is paid ads on platforms like Google, platforms like Meta, which now includes both Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube. The general idea of how digital advertising works is that you pay either per click or per number of impressions when your ad is shown. Well, digital advertising can work and does work for many businesses out there, doesn't mean it will work for your business. And I like to lay out sort of the pros and cons for digital advertising ahead of time so you know what you're going into. Out of the 100 plus website designers and business owners I've spoken with over the last year, only a handful were actually running paid advertisements on these platforms. And no one I spoke with relied solely on paid advertising as their primary channel for new client acquisition. That said, if you are interested in experimenting with digital advertising, here are my tips. Tip number one is set a budget. Before launching digital ad campaigns, it's essential for you to not only understand your budget, but also understand that any amount spent from your budget might not necessarily bring in new clients right away. Most digital advertising takes a few iterations where you're changing the artwork, you're changing the headlines, the landing pages, you're adjusting your ad groups and the segments you're targeting. These adjustments take some time to get just right. So you need to anticipate this. Have a long-term budget in place and understand what your long-term goals are. If you map this out ahead of time, it will be much less surprising than if you go into it blindly and say, wow, I've spent $1,000 in the first week of my new ad campaign and I have no clients. That's not the right way to do it. Map it out ahead of time and understand that you might not see clients for at least a week or two. At a minimum, I find that you need a budget of at least $100 a week to see meaningful results. Tip number two with digital advertising is closely monitor your CPL and CAC. Data is king in digital advertising, and even if you hire someone to manage your ad accounts, as a business owner, you should be constantly evaluating your CPL, which is your cost per lead, and your CAC, which is your cost of acquisition. Understanding your CPL and CAC will help you make much more informed decisions about what works and what doesn't, while preventing you from spending too much all at once. What CPL is your total ad spend divided by the number of new client inquiries, and CAC is your ad spend divided by the number of new clients who have officially paid and signed a contract. Many of the ad platforms allow for these metrics to be reported directly in them, but it isn't always set up right out of the gate. So make sure you are tracking that somewhere and measuring it and constantly update yourself on it. Tip number three within digital advertising is hire dedicated help when you need it. And I can't recommend this enough. When you are running a business, it is so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and all of the things that you need to do. And digital advertising requires a great deal of setup and even more experimentation. If you're unfamiliar with digital advertising or don't have the bandwidth to give it your full attention, seek professional help, because the last thing you want to do is spend your entire ad budget because you were targeting the wrong segment or bidding on keywords that don't align with your niche. That does it. When it comes to growing a web design business, I will say from experience, there is no golden ticket. That said, having the right strategy in place and staying consistent with your execution of that strategy is one of the most surefire ways you will achieve success.